I found an old message from my brother. I'm an only child. Dear Ben, this will be the last thing I ever send you. I don't even know if you'll remember who I am by the time you read this. For your sake, I hope you don't. For my sake, and for everything I've lost, I had to write you this story. One you're a part of, and one that never happened. I have to tell you the story of how I disappeared. I've got no idea when this whole thing actually started. There's simply no way to tell how much of my life slipped away under my nose before I could ever even know. There's no telling what all it's taken from me. There's no telling how long it's been eating. 4 nights ago. That's the first time I noticed something missing. Less than a week, and a lifetime of difference. I had a lot back then, a lot to be thankful for. I had just landed a new IT job, my first actual job out of college. Me and Grace were able to finally move out of the ratty one-bedroom place we had to a real house in Cyprus. Wyatt got his own room just after his first birthday. Me and you had to wait 15 years for that. Grace was able to quit her retail job and stay home with Wyatt, which is what she'd always wanted to do. Lord knows she deserved to be able to after all she'd done to help me finish my degree. You helped us move in that weekend, you, Ann, and the girls. I remember we sat down under the patio in the backyard talking about all of y'all coming over in the fall to grill and watch football. Things looked so hopeful. But that was a different world than the one we're living in now. It was late Tuesday night, a little past 9. Grace had just retreated into our room, starting her nightly fight to rock the baby to sleep. While she was doing that, I was going to head back to the old apartment and grab the last few loads of belongings that needed to be moved. By Tuesday night, most of the boxes were residing in our living room, and I'd made almost 5 trips Monday after work. But there still remained about 2 carloads left. I remember looking at it all Saturday after you and I had worked all day to move the big stuff, knowing all that was left and asking myself how so much could fit in our little hole in the wall. I snuck out as quietly as I could to my car in the garage, being careful not to make a sound and wake Wyatt. He's a really light sleeper, and I didn't want to make the already difficult task of getting him to sleep any more of a burden on Grace. I was able to get out of the house without much of a sound and started my car. It wasn't until I was halfway down the street when I realized I had forgotten the keys to our old place. I turned the car around, grateful to have only gone that far. The drive between our apartment and house was a solid 20 minutes, and I'd already made the mistake of going all that way without a key once that weekend. I opened the garage door into the kitchen with just as much caution as I had left with. The house was completely dark, save my car's low beam shining through the open door into the kitchen. It was just enough to see where the key should have been, a little key ring holder right next to the pantry. I say should because it wasn't there. It was missing. An annoyed sigh left my mouth. I had left them on that key ring the night before just in case Grace needed to run and grab something urgent. God only knew where they'd traveled to in those 24 hours. The whole reason we only had one key between us in the first place was because of Wyatt's excessive need to play with them. Even after we decided maybe the house keys weren't the best toy for an 11-month-old to be playing with and got him some play baby keys, he'd only ever be satisfied by the jingle-jangle of the real thing. I looked out at the sea of boxes crowding the living room, hoping I wouldn't have to go searching through them. Flipping on my phone flashlight, I started carefully opening drawers in the kitchen, hoping maybe Grace had used them and just put them back in an odd spot. Her soft lullaby was still filling the silence of our house. It'd still be a good while before I could ask her.
I moved at a snail's pace, trying every drawer, trying to be as quiet as possible. I probably could have gone quicker, made a little more noise since we had a much larger buffer of space in the new house. But having lived in such a small apartment for so long and having woken the baby by even the slightest of movements had trained me to be overly hesitant. Every creak felt like a shout, no matter how careful I was. My search of the drawers proved barren. I started on the living room, trying my best to dodge around our scattered boxed belongings and scan the floor with my flashlight, keeping my eye peeled for a glint of anything shiny. Still nothing. I decided it was probably going to be easiest to just wait until Wyatt was down and I could ask Grace if she'd seen them. If not, I could at least flip the lights back on and actually see where I was looking. I turned back around to snake back through the living room to turn off my still-running car, when I felt my foot catch against a stack of the boxes and send me stumbling over. What followed was a crash that probably could have been heard 3 houses down. As I lay there in the immediate aftermath, draped over now crushed boxes of plates and silverware, I clenched my eyes and thought, please don't wake up, please don't wake up. That tense silence didn't last more than a second, though, and I started kicking myself as the shrill cry of my son rang out through the house. It was soon joined in concert by our dog Spot, howling and barking to no end. The next thing I heard was the twist of a doorknob and flicker of a light switch. Grace's concern was visible on her face, though it shifted into irritation once she'd seen what I'd done to her plates. She asked if I was okay, and other than my pride, I was. I went ahead and took the opportunity to ask about the keys. She said she hadn't seen them, that she needed to go back to get some stuff for Wyatt's room and couldn't find them earlier. Maybe I hadn't put them back. I knew I had, but I wasn't about to try and blame her for losing them while she was shushing the crying child I'd just woke. I apologized a few times, gave her and Wyatt both a kiss, and tried to make as graceful an escape as I could back to the car. Did you know that you'll fall in love with 3 different people in your lifetime? There's your first love. This one often comes at a young age. You didn't grow apart and you call it quits over stupid things. And when you get older, you'll probably look back and think, that wasn't love. But in reality, it was. It was love for what you knew love to be. Then comes your second love. This one's a hard one. You get real hurt in this one. This one teaches you lessons and makes you stronger. This love includes lies, pain, abuse, betrayal, damage, and drama. But you know what? This one helps you grow. It helps you understand what we love about love and what we hate about love. It teaches you the difference between a good person and a bad person. It teaches you to become cautious, closed, careful, and considerate. You now know exactly what you want and what you don't want. And finally, there's your third love. This one comes without any warning. It creeps up on you silently. You didn't look for this one. It came to you. You can put up any wall you want. That wall will be broken down. You will find yourself caring about someone without even trying. They're nothing like your usual love types either, but you get lost in their eyes daily. And unusually, you see the beauty in their imperfections. You hide nothing from them. You want commitment and a family. With them, you thank the universe for them, and you truly love them.